Okay, this time on Captain Castle's Laboratory, we're going to be working on Lemax Dead Man's Mine. I believe there's a few videos out there or short snippets about this piece. It has a tendency of losing one of its two motors consistently, and it's usually always the top one, the one that's hard to get to. And this is no different. Yeah, so this is a 9-volt piece, and one of the biggest issues is the 9-volt motors have been discontinued. 12 volts the replacement. Sometimes you can find an 11, so that means that it will still work at 9 volts. It just spins slower than before. I wouldn't put in anything smaller than 11 or 9 technically, due to the fact that you risk burning the motor out. So let's see the proper way, or a way to take it apart. I don't know what the proper way is. I don't think there is a proper way because we're not supposed to disassemble them. If you have this piece, yes, this guy that's hanging here is in the box. It was broke when I opened the box. I didn't bring it out because I'm not going to glue it back on until after this is put back together, because that's just one more thing that'll break. So, but anyhow, other than the upper cars not going around their track, she's complete. All the lights work. You can keep the volume down. You can kind of see the lights. They're all on inside the tunnel, on the front of the building. The green one here. Actually, it looks like this light's burned out. Oh, nope, there it is. It's a flashy light. Also, don't know what the vibration is, so we're going to try and figure that out too. The vibration could be this car, because it vibrates every time it goes through the tunnel, or it's this on its cyclic rate internally is broken. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is unplug it. And then I'm going to tip it on its back, and we're going to work on getting the foam off the bottom. May not come off. Most of them don't. But we're going to try. So this might take a few minutes. Maybe. It is an older piece, so it might start to separate a little faster. You don't have to take it all off, as far as I know. As far as I know, you should just be able to take the edges off. Yeah, because inside the center, there's a glued, right there, plastic base. The other option is you just slice where the plastic base ring is all the way around with a razor knife, which might actually be the best option, because by doing this, I'm stretching the foam. When you stretch the foam and you try and push it back on, you get wrinkles. Now I gotta work the wrinkles out. And as I've shown before, if your foam gets damaged, you try and peel it off and it comes off in pieces, you can buy the stick-on foam from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I'm sure Amazon has it too. The difference is it won't say Lemax on the bottom like this one does in big white letters. Alright, so I went ahead and got that cut, and now I'm I'm just going to see if I can get a screwdriver into the lip and see if I can get some of this ancient hot glue to break. There we go. Just had to find a spot where I can get the screwdriver in. Apparently I cut a little too inside on this edge here. It's either really dusty or there's a lot of residue from when they cut the hole that they didn't clean out of this unit. So there's the hot glue. We're going to dispose of that. I don't know why I did that. I have a tool that does that. Now it's all in my eyes. I don't know how the camera's going to pick this up, so if it's loud, turn your volume down. If you have headphones on, yeah, you might want to take them off. Well, now everything on my bench is covered in this white dust. As long as it's not anthrax, I guess we're okay. So, alright, so for those who have this piece that's never taken it apart, here's the bottom. You got your main circuit board here, and you have a small distribution board there. You have a big heat sink here, probably for a power regulator. And that's due to the fact that the these motors are they're high draw. This dab of glue right here, over up a little, was against the bottom of the motor. They probably just did that to help put a center point in to hold this so it doesn't bow. It's not structural, but I am going to remove it. Alright, so all the way up in the top there is that other motor, which you have to take this bottom one out first, this track here. It is held in with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. No, literally everything's covered in powder. I don't know if it's dust from its display that it was in, or if it's casting from the manufacturing process, but yeah, it was a lot of dust. This last screw is going to be a little harder to get to because it's right on top of this circuit board, which actually isn't even attached. Looks like it already broke free from its glue, so we're going to move it out. So on the circuit board we have the plugs, 2, 3 transistors, and a big resistor. But it's just a distribution board. Just takes the stuff and transfers it to the rest of the unit. a lot of stress because of the amount of pressure I had to put on it to get it to grab. It's not at the best angle. There we go. That should be all of these. Make sure. There we go. So the guy in the cart has to be in the back. And I'll show you why. You can see the track isn't complete. There's a big notch between them. That's for him. So because my character here, when I turn it off, was a little on the track, I rotated the disc to get this out. And this is how you get to it. This is a D shaft. So the dust all over my magnifiers. Every time I look up, the light turns them white. So it's not a circle, it's a D. Or, yeah, it's a D. That's what we always call them. It's a D shaft. So the top motor is held in with 1, 2, 3 screws. That's more normal for Lemax. Gonna have to use something a little bit longer because the track for the bottom is blocking my ability to get to the top screw. Plus they glued the wire on top of it, so let me try to get the bottom screw. Actually, before I do any of that, let's get the one screw I just took out. So taken out now is the motor screw, because the motor has 2 wings on it, which I'll show you momentarily. And those 2 wings are actually covering the mounting hardware. No, we don't have to take the top track out. So we're going to leave that in there, and I'll show you here in a second. That's why you don't have to take the top track out. It's because the motor has a gear that just goes through. So let me put this little screw back in before I forget. And this motor is soldered to the main board. So this motor is a 7.5 RPM counterclockwise. Oh, this one's a 12 volt. I wonder if it's been replaced already. This one's a 12 volt too. Never mind. This might be a different aged unit. All the other ones I've seen have been 9 volt motors and they are discontinued. And the 12 volt, you have to replace it. So there's the D shape, as you can see. Do it that way now. You can see it looks like a capital D. That's the type of shaft it is. What I want to do now is turn it back on while it's out and see what exactly is going on with that vibration. And I think it's this right here. This one motor might be going bad too. I'll make it the easiest to get to. So I'm making sure everything's clear so nothing arcs. Nope, it's this motor. This motor's vibrating badly. Vibrating usually indicates the motor is bad, but I want to double check the power coming out of it. And the reason I want to do that is because it's possible that maybe this regulator has failed. It's every time I've ever seen it has always been the motor, but You gotta check everything. I explain that to the people I train on the job. Check everything. That way you know that it's right. Just not getting a good connection. Also don't like the fact that they insulated one side and not the other. Nope, we're getting good power to the motor. So, and when I was talking about wings, it's these right here, the mounting tabs. So, if you have a basic voltmeter or a high-end voltmeter or a multimeter, check the voltages just to make sure. If you're questioning things, every time I've ever seen this unit in general, it's always been a bad motor. It's never been anything but the motor. So let's go ahead and remove the motor. Now the motor is AC, so you have to make sure you get an AC motor. I've never seen a DC synchronous motor, but they change things all the time. So as you can see, it's a 7.5 revolutions per minute CCW, 50-60 hertz, 1.2 to 2 watts depending on the load, and then right there it says AC 12 volt, which those are really readily available. This is also classified as a 40. It doesn't say it on here. Nope. So this is a what, like on Amazon, would be a TYC 40 style motor. 40 size motors have single, easy identification. Single size motors have single tabs, and 50 size motors have double. See the holes? You can also see the size difference. So, just as a quick reference, if you're not sure if it's a 40 or a 50 when you look up the motor and it says TYC 40, TYC 50, because TYC is the standard motor company now. 40 single hole tabs, 50 double hole tabs. They do make bigger, but they're not common in hobbies. I'm gonna go see if I have a motor with a D shaft that will fit in here. The problem is the CCW only. Most motors now are CCW/CW, which means counterclockwise and then clockwise. Now on this one it would make a difference. On the one on the top it shouldn't make much of a difference. I believe, I don't think I'll be able to get the character to move out. I don't know if there's a guy in the cart or not. Yeah, there's not. So it's just bones. And a long time ago, I had somebody message me about that, where this one was going back and forth because it was CCW. I just suggested changing this for the top motor and vice versa, and it worked. And that's because this one should be directional and the top one really doesn't matter. So anyway, I'm going to pause it for a second. I'm going to see if I have a motor so we can get this thing back together. Be right back. Okay. Found a motor. So I bought a Dead Man's Mine, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Heck, I don't remember. It's been a while. It's been at least 3 or 4. And I bought it because it didn't work for parts. So I'm going to test this motor. I'm going to see if this motor actually works. The circuit board on that one burned right down here. So that's why I bought it, is because it wasn't a non-repairable item. But it still has viable parts on it to be used for other things, like if somebody breaks their cars, or I actually sent them this. I sent somebody this sign and this sign many years ago. Their signs were broke off. So that's why I buy parts pieces, is because, well, you can't find pieces for these things anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to solder the wires on and see if it actually turns. It'd be easier for me to do this than to pull out my AC generator and power it up. You can also technically just put it in the power supply. Let's try that and see if it works. So it's AC, so it doesn't matter. You just got to put one in the center, like so, and then one on the outside edge. Apparently it's a bad motor. It's not turning. So this one's broke too. It's probably what caused the circuit board to burn out. Oh, it is turning. No, it's not. Now it is. Ah, that would be the reason. The gear should slide off of this. Like so. Oh, hey, that one pops out too. They shouldn't pop out. Let's turn off that. Let's open this one up. Where is my... So you can open these motors. They don't it's not recommended, but sometimes you can fix them. You do need a little persuasion to get into these guys. You can try and bend all these tabs up, which let's see if this one will actually do it, because a lot of these have these little bent pieces, little fingers, and they're usually really hard to bend up without stabbing yourself. Because you need something small to get underneath them to flex them. It's usually easier to bend them out of the way once you get the cover off. Now if your cover gets bent, you can hammer and something metal, a vise, pair of big pliers, but I can just take this and fly right back out. So you don't need anything special, just a smacky thing, preferably a hammer, but you gotta use what you got, and something that you can smack against. My vise over there on the corner of the bench has an anvil built into the back of the vise. It's not an anvil like that, but it's a little fella that allows me to smack things. It's got more surface area, of course, than the little red one I just pulled up. But I want to see if what's turning in here or what's not turning in here. Okay, so the magnet is spinning, but the armature is not, which means the plastic pieces that hold it in place have come delaminated. So this one I should be able to repair. So you can repair some of these. A lot of these synchronous motors I take apart and I use them to fix other synchronous motors when these gears break, but they're not all interchangeable. So this supposed to be adhered to that black magnet right there. It's not, and that's the problem. Sometimes this itty bitty spring will hold it down. It's really hard to see, but it generally doesn't. first things first, we're going to clean the surface areas here. This has a captive magnet, and what I mean by that is there's a tab on both sides to hold the magnet in so you can't pull the magnet out. I'm not a big fan of that, but that's where they made it. You have to remove this entire center ring. You can see the fingers, which, trust me, is a pain in itself. So you can do it if you want. I don't like doing it because I usually never get it back in without it being, one, out of alignment, and two, being damaged. So what I am going to do before I start doing anything else to it is I'm going to bend the fingers up. So this is tough on your wire cutters, but your wire cutters have a finer point to grab the steel to help push these fingers up than a pair of pliers. It's usually recommended to use cheap tools to do this, not your expensive ones. I generally do not use these wire cutters. If you've noticed, I always use this style, just because they just work better. They're cheap and they work better. But I do use these occasionally when I have to cut something a little thicker or solid core, or when I open up motors and I got to adjust the tabs. So I can put the cover back on. Now, if your motor is intermittently spinning, you might have the same problem. And we'll open this one too. We'll see what it is. You will need some really good, strong super glue. And it hopefully hasn't glued the lid shut like this one has. Holy smokes. Well, that's oh, well, yeah, it pretty much is it broke the applicator, got glued inside. Awesome. So when you do this, or if you do this, do not get it on this center pin. You don't want to glue the magnet shut or in position. So I just put it on this piece. Just a small amount. The brush applicator one works a little bit better to do this, but the brush applicator one I have has also solidified, so I need to go get some more super glue. Apparently I put a little too much on since I don't have the small opening tip. And we slide it back over, push her in, and then line her up. So on the bottom of that are 4 fingers that the magnet has 4 grooves that you fit it into. And then I'm just going to keep pressure on it for a minute just to let it bond. And then I usually put an itty bitty amount around the seam on the fat. It's going to be so much harder with the tip broke off inside the cap. But let's try if I can just apply it with this. It's kind of a band-aid fix, but since Halloween is literally a week away and this person wants it for their display, they're local, I can give this back to them tomorrow, and I can order a replacement motor and then just fix it with a new motor after the holiday. I'm telling you, super not designed to be put on with an applicator like this. There we go. But anyway, so this is just to get us hopefully through the remainder of the season, which again, it's literally from today that I'm filming this is 8 days from now. So a week. I'll give it back to them tomorrow, which means it will really be a week. Put the spring back on. And now we get to reassemble this. So this last gear fits in a boss. It doesn't have a metal shaft. This gear has the paw on it, which keeps it going in one direction. You can see that thing sticking off the end. Yeah, that makes it go in one direction only. So hopefully it's the right direction. Put that one in, and then last but not least, that one. So apparently the reason this pulled out is the top of this gear is cracked, and that's why it pulled out, and that's probably why that one over there pulled out too. I don't have any of the motors from EMC, so what I'm going to do is, if this works, I'm going to put glue on the end of this and glue it into, I said, I just need it to work for a week. Then I can fix it properly. But this gives you how to do a band-aid repair on your stuff. Also shows you how to open it and fix it yourself. So that way, if you have this piece, how to go into it and repair it and not throw it in the garbage. Looks like it's I put the paw in backwards because it's wedged. So what I gotta do is rotate the gear a few teeth, like so, and pop the other gear back in. Like so, and let's try it again. Doesn't want to work anymore. Making sure I didn't glue it in. You know, if any of that super glue gets onto the moving parts, it'll stop it. I think a little bit did, and that's why it didn't work. There we go. And there we go. Let's try this. Take the paw out for the moment. Yeah, she doesn't want to turn anymore. That sucks. some of the glue got into the bottom. There we go. It's bouncing around because there's nothing holding it in place, that last gear. It's, yeah. So when I glued that center in, it went all the way through the magnet and touched the bottom of the motor. So apparently I didn't listen to myself when I said be careful how much glue you use, even though I wiped some extra off. I'm not going to put the paw back in. I want to keep it as free motion as possible, and as I said, it doesn't matter on the top car which direction it rotates in. Now if you do have any of these 9-volt units that have 9-volt motors, you can use the 12-volt motors as you see here. And the gear that's bouncing is held by this collar on the top of the motor. Not all the fingers are far enough out of the way, so we have to use a little persuasion. Just got to get it back lined up with all 4 of the metal shafts and the plastic gear, which keeps wanting to move on me. There we go. Yeah, normally you can just press it down. You got 2 of the 4. I guess that's a start. There we go. See if it still works. Thought this would be a short video because I thought I had one. Didn't think I'd have to rebuild a motor. Alright, my wires are frayed and they were touching. There we go. Just push it in further. No. This motor is vibrating so bad too. I think I just threw that chunk of dried glue off because it's now quiet and spinning nicely. Oh, now it's back. Alright, well, let's see if we can do a load. If it can't, unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to tell her I can't fix it because I don't have a motor. But we're still going to take apart that other one. Again, like I said, I'm not going to run this without insulation on both sides. You don't have to use heat shrink. You can use electrical tape. You can use technically masking tape, since Lemax did that on many pieces. You can use hot glue, which they use a lot as well. Just something to isolate the 2 wires from each other. And now, while my soldering iron heats up, let's take care of this. Let's open this guy up. So it's supposed to be a relatively quick video, but like normal, things don't go always as planned. Oh, my soldering iron just got up to temperature. So fixing a motor is pretty much a last resort, and you can do it on synchronous motors. It's not possible to really do it on standard drive motors or straight through motors. Let's see if the magnet's spinning by itself or if it's actually completely dead because it was humming so badly. So shove that into the center. This one's got slightly thicker insulation, so yeah, it's not moving at all. Oh wow, these gears are bound up. Ooh. Here we go. The grease has solidified. That's what stopped this motor from turning. It's now turning just fine without any pressure on it. So this dark black grease is just probably full of the dirt and dust that was in this unit, and that's what's caused this to stop. It was all bound up and tight, so I had to use the tweezers, needle nose pliers to separate it. So I'm going to wipe off some of the excess, and then we're going to put it back together and see if it turns. Because if it does, then I have a secondary motor in case it doesn't survive the week that I can quickly pop in. Because I'm going to get new motors, I'm not going to re-lubricate this. At least not right this second. If it works, I would probably put some PTFE grease in here. Here we go. Let's see. She's actually working really good. She's working better than the other motor. Put that back in. And now it's bound up again. Ooh, arky. It's bound up again. Just might not be able to handle the load. working at the moment, so let me put the cover back on. And what I forgot to do, bend the fingers back up all the way, or as far as I can. Apparently I need to go through my chair too to see why it's so creaky. Now as far as bending them back over, you need a little screwdriver and some really good eyes and something hard to smack against. And you want to put your screwdriver on the tab and then pin it back down. There's 8 tabs. Some of the tabs bend easier than others. Here we go. When you do this, be careful. I forgot on this one, it's still fine, but when you smack on it, you don't want to get the wires cut by the casing of the motor. I'm going to put the original one back in since it's quieter, see if it works. So in case it works, I'm going to go ahead and get the heat shrink slid down onto the wiring. Going to since it's AC, as I mentioned, it doesn't matter which wire connects to which wire because it's alternating current. If it was DC, usually they're black and red, and the black goes to black, red goes to the red, but again, AC doesn't matter. It's not polarized. So what I do is I twist the wires together so that they're nice and snug, and then I use the solder to soak in through the twist to help hold them. Just make sure the solder soaks all the way through. There we go. And just put this back in. So the shaft, not only the top, but the bottom is also keyed. So don't force it in, make sure it drops in smoothly if yours pops out, since it's not supposed to. Alright, here we go. Make sure that's off. motor's turning. I don't know if you can see it turning. So to help illustrate, there you go. And it's a lot quieter than it was before. So now we're going to heat shrink it. We're going to stick the motor back in to its place. Go. And you can use a heat gun or a hair dryer. I just use a lighter, it's way faster. Especially when you burn your finger right there. Or if you have small hands, it comes in handy. There you are. Motor fell out. Give me a second. Well, of course. That would be what the screws into. And it broke off when I put the motor in. So it has a little indentation for the motor wing to sit into it. And when I clipped it on, and I said the motor fell out, apparently the motor fell out because the plastic broke. There's a couple ways to fix it. You can glue it. If you have a parts piece, you can take the disc out of the other one. Oop. Make sure I don't put too much on this because I don't want to glue it to the motor casing. I also forgot to put this in because it also fell out. That. So let's go ahead and take out this disc that I was going to take out originally. Then I found out you don't need to because it's not a captive motor. Oh my gosh, look at all that white powder up in here still. Jeez. Okay. So, wow, this thing is disintegrating in my hands. You can see where that piece was. Right there. Let me see if I still have that upper disc. Just swap it out real quick. The answer is yes. It still has the upper disc. Same thing as a lower, you have to get the cars to line up into the open part of the C or the track to get it to pop out. Since I have a parts piece, that's what it looks like. See, the upper track is the same. It's got that open section that you have to line this up to. So I will swap it out. I gotta clean this one up too. And I'll glue this on at a later time. So I'll just put it all back in here. Since this one was covered in dirt and grime, because this was from an outdoor display if I remember right. We're going to clean all the grime off. There's your upper disc that has the cars. You can technically, if you have it out, like you take it out to clean it, you can technically go ahead and put the motor in. Put it on the little standoffs. Hopefully don't break off again. So you just clip in the little holes. So it's got little built-in plastic bushings, so the motors are aligned. Because the screw is smaller than the hole, so if it's out of alignment, it may not engage the teeth, or it may not engage the teeth properly, where you'll chip the teeth or crack the gear. Tool is getting weak, so we'll just finish it off by hand. Teeth are engaged. this is the piece that just doesn't want to go back together. So, I don't know if you saw it start to jerk. It started jerking because the gear just cracked. I'm not taking the motor back out, so I'm just going to unscrew the center section so I can pry the gear off. Hopefully just the gear. There we go. Yeah, right there. It's not going to focus. Yeah, the damn gear cracked. How annoying is that? That's probably why that gear came off so easy. It's because it cracked. Let me try and get this gear off. They're just pressed on, so that's why the gear should come off, but that's why I pulled the armature out, because the press is still better than the armature press. There we go. Now we just got to try and push it on square and hope it doesn't break. There we go. Today's not even Monday. Man, I sure acting like a Monday piece. Much smoother. Turning it off where I can line this back up into its groove. So if you have this piece, hopefully you don't have this many issues. That's pretty rare. I have them where they just start falling apart while you're doing the work. It does happen, but it's, you know, not like it's super common. Also be nicer to have smaller hands for this. So the downside to putting it back in with the motor is you got to contend with the weight of the motor, trying to pull it away from where you want it. Okay, lost one screw. Let's try another one. If you have your factory foam, you might be able to turn this thing upside down inside the foam and use gravity to your advantage. That's one. Not all the way in, it's just enough to hold it. And now I'm going to do number two, but to keep my hand out of the way, I'm going to use a set of pliers here to hold it so I have more room for the screwdriver and my eyesight. see if this fits in the foam. So if this works and you don't have your foam, technically only need it if you're doing what I'm doing, where you're trying to put it all back together in one solid piece. That might work. Put that there to hold it. So kind of see what I'm doing now. Yep, flashlight died. Awesome. There we go. Now, where's the track? Right there. So you kind of have to support the track a little bit while doing this. So you got to get your finger inside. Can't support the back of the track because it's inside the mountain, so I have to do it from here. Okay, next is we got to re-glue that back down. So we're going to do the hot glue thing here. Turn off my flashlight. So we definitely need to glue this down so it doesn't interfere with the track below it or the car on the track below it. Well, this is going to take a couple of minutes to heat up, so I'm going to pause it since we're 52 minutes in, and I'm going to come back once I get the tracks back in for you. That way you don't have to keep watching the reassembly. So what I'm going to do, just so you know, is I'm going to glue the red wire down back where it was, right there on that glue blob, and then I'm going to put the bottom track in. Then I'm going to put the glue back on this board and push it back underneath this lip. And then I'm going to put this back on and flip it over and fire it up. But I'm not going to glue this on until I verify everything works. I can't turn this right side up and then have these wires interfere with this track or this character because you could break something. So I do have to get a lot of it glued together. The circuit board I may be able to shove off to the side and not glue it until I verify it functions, but I'll see how it goes once I get this bottom car in. So I'll be back momentarily. Okay, we're back, and look at that. Holy crap. So this was kind of a pain. Shouldn't have been as difficult as it was, with everything just failing as it was. I don't know how else to explain it other than Murphy came in. Oh. A little volume. So this dude is right here. So I will get this glued back on once I glue the bottom on. Like I said, I didn't glue the bottom on in case I had to take it back apart, which I'm so happy I don't have to because it's working. So that's a positive. So I just got to glue the bottom on. And then once that's done, then I'll super glue this on with what I have left in my... Well, I have a lot left, but unfortunately I'm going to have to throw it away because the tips broke off. Turn that down. And I'll glue that back on, and I'll get it back to her. This, like I said, was broken in the box when I opened it, probably in the transportation of going from one place to the other. But it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. If you are doing this long enough, you'll be going through lots and lots of glue. So that's the Lemax Dead Man's Mind with almost every possible issue popping up while working on it that you can think of. It's not normally how this goes, but yeah. So now you got to see the unit, how it works, the interior of it, the different little things. Gotta plug this in because it's dead, so plug that in. And then what to do if you encounter other issues. You might need to get a parts piece, especially if that plate cracks like the other one did, which is so freaking weird. It's a 12-volt motor. Probably find them on Amazon. If I can find them, I'll link them below. If I can find them, because right now, for some reason, motors are getting kind of strange on Amazon. They're not as prevalent. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. eBay and AliExpress are better options on certain things. Right now, some of the motors are better options on those too. So, but there we go. Lemax Dead Man's Mind. All done. Both tracks work. Lights work. Soundtrack works. So yeah, we're all set. So, any questions, comments, put them below. Sorry for the long video. I didn't expect it to be that long, and I also expected this to be a working motor. I was told that they worked until it burned, but then again, this may have caused the other one to burn. So, it's very possible. I'm not going to bother with this motor. I'm just going to use it for measurements and then throw it away. Or recycle it. We recycled all the motors. But yeah, there you go. Apparently I picked up a wire when I grabbed my charger. So anyhow, I'm going to let it run for a little bit. I usually let them run for about a half an hour, and then I'm going to glue the bottom on, glue the guy on, and package it up, give it back to the owner. So, thanks for watching. Until the next one.